Hey guys at All Things Bulldogs Podcast. Tune in every Tuesday night and get around and support the boys. How the doggies?
G'day, Doggies fans, All Things Bulldogs. It's episode 10. We're going to get through a lot of episodes this week. I can tell you that much. 5 days till Vegas. I don't know what's happening there. Sorry, guys. I've got to turn my mobile down. Apparently having some troubles streaming to Facebook at the moment. So I'll have to sort that out in a second. But welcome to you guys. How you going, brother?
I'm going very good, mate, for the first official TLT of the year. Past trials.
Team List Tuesday.
Team List Tuesday. So don't think there was any surprises. Think there was any surprises.
No. Well, the team that's rolling along the bottom there is a team that I wrote out yesterday. Didn't have to change it. Actually, there was one slight change. I had to swap Turpin and Tuala around. That was it. Oh, and Sewer and AJ around. That's all I had to swap around. So,
although that may still change, you never know.
G'day, Benny. How are you? G'day to Rhett. Thanks, Rhett. Thanks to everyone who jumped on to the Mad V. It's actually streamed on All Things Bulldogs as well, which is fantastic. And it was good to see most of the comments on that feed were from Bulldogs fans of All Things Bulldogs. So thank you so much, people, for being there. I really appreciated that. Yeah, cannot wait, Lucas. And welcome to you, Craig Geddes.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome to... Oh, I've forgotten you. Ryan. Warren Ryan. There we are. Dreggy. The guys are just going to share the podcast around a little bit. So, what's happening, Gas? They heard it all here first, didn't they?
Yes. Oh, it's pretty much the same team that Michael's been predicting for the last 3 months, guys. No surprises from us, but let's just hope that everybody that's over there gets through all the niggles. I mean, we still haven't seen Carraz and Montoya play any trials or anything this year, so let's hope they're all ready to go. Berto looks like he's all right, but let's hope he's so all right that he can actually put up some of those big towering bombs and do a few things, which will be awesome. So, you know, I don't think there'll be any players out there wanting to just be selfish and say I want to play because it's Vegas. If they're not going to be effective, then they won't be running out. So if it's it looks like everyone's priming themselves perfectly for the season launch. So a lot of supporters are flying over there now. All the chats, all the guys are over there. Some have started off in a few other cities and states, and then they're finding their way over to Vegas. So some of them have copped the snow in New York. Some of them for the first time. Some very, very heavy snow. Hopefully they can still get out of New York and make it over to Vegas. They've got the week. Start driving if you have to. But it's exciting times for all those ones over there, planning holidays wherever you are. So, and for those still back here, still the faithful, ready to go, we're going to bring you all the way through the week to get you to Vegas. So by the time the week's over, you'll think you're in Vegas, guys. That's how we're going. So Aldo's given us his team for this week so far, but obviously there's 23 players now out of that 26. 22, out of that 26. And those 19 for the week will still possibly change before the 90 minutes comes through. I just like to call it 23, guys, because you know how that's my favorite number, and we don't count we don't count the 18th. So we're the only team that still has the 23 players, not the 22 officially. So that's my team. Gotta love the doggies. So
love the doggies.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at some of the comments, guys. G'day, Craig. G'day, James. No worries, mate. Gratitude. Yep. Sickening the red V. Yeah, it was tough. G'day, Joby. Yeah, mate. Michael always does us proud, mate. He's always under a bit of control. Always under a bit of control. They have to rein him in. If they let him go too much, he can outdo the whole lot of them. So even on their own team, so they got to pull him back in again. Otherwise, they don't have a show. Unfortunately, he makes them look a bit ordinary. So, but no, he's done a good job, and they were very good to have him on there. So that was good by all sides. G'day, Bruce. 23. See another 23. Gotta love it. Yeah, so we're all good, mate. How you going over there, mate? You done all your business? G'day, Andy. Andy, the prize winner, mate. You just keep smashing it, mate. How are you going, mate?
So Elaine's already sent Andy's. She's already ordered the prize, and it's already on its way.
Oh, how good is that,
quick
mate?
it is.
How good is that, guys? Awesome
Yeah.
stuff. So hopefully today we'll be giving out another prize. So don't forget, guys. When we hit the $50 mark, so we're already 5 up today, with another 45 to go, and then everyone who's contributed will go into the draw to win something special. So it's going to be a big week, guys. G'day, Jack.
Just doing a bit more, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. Love the Desperate Dragons comment, Michael. There you go.
G'day, Jack. Good to see you again, matey. Let us know how that book's going. The rugby league coach, Jack was one of the winners.
Yes.
Donating to the stream, which is fantastic. We'll keep running those every day. Or did you just say that already?
It's okay, mate. Reinforcement for those who missed out. It's okay. It's all good. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you're much more braver, mate. Spend the time with those lovers, mate. We'll stop it at that. It's all good, guys. Anybody surprised by any of the selections in the team, even though you were reading it last night down the bottom of that screen?
We're now going live on Instagram, guys. I'm having issues on Facebook, but
that's probably why. Maybe there's Joe Millennium saying, "Why is All Things Bulldogs channel still running the Dragons channel? It's weird, like 2 channels running." Is there a crossover?
Maybe there's a crossover.
Could that be why? Maybe that's your answer.
Let me have a look.
G'day, Caveman Kev. Yeah, we're going to go into a lot of detail, Craig. I think a lot of us are very happy with that team. The only change I think any of us would have made is Big Leo, I think. From everyone's sort of original prediction, I think Big Leo would be the only one that would be in that team, I think. So, yeah. Hopefully they all get through the week unscathed. Just have to be careful. I always worry when they train on those synthetic sort of grounds. If you've ever played on those synthetic grounds, you have to be careful when you step because you can get stuck in a bit sometimes. It's very tough on the knees. You don't want to get caught in there. And also, if they do any diving, you can lose a bit of skin. It's a bit of a tough one. Yes, we're all loving the keenness for the game. And thanks a lot for your support. That's it, guys.
Sorry,
like
peeps.
the stream and help out the boys. That's it. Help out Michael so he can do whatever he's trying to do now.
I tried to delete it, but yeah, something to do with streaming it to the Dogfather earlier.
There you go, mate. The Lee Addison book is unreal. Very eye-opening take on coaching. You're most welcome, Jack. Glad you're enjoying it, mate.
You get stuck into Stephen Carney a little bit in it, because he does doesn't a sort of like an assessment. Steve Carney's coaching. Lucas says, "Great to see how consistent our team is now, and the depth is great."
Yes. Although, if anybody heard Gus talking the other day about the 6 additional, the 2 extra players on the bench, he was sort of a little bit against it from what I see. He was obviously trying to show that the Bulldogs have had that sort of play with regards to having utilities and people ready to cover positions, and he feels like the top teams that have all this extra depth is where it's going to be an advantage to. So I feel like we're one of those teams now. We've got that depth. We've got a lot of solid players, and it's sometimes hard to squeeze that sort of full team into the 17. But yeah, some of these other teams that have got that solid depth and can have, star players on the bench, in that 6-man bench. So he feels like that's a bit of a reward for the stronger teams rather than something for the younger team or, the weaker teams. So interesting take from Gus.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that a little bit before we get into the teams and how we think it may go down with the final 19 and stuff. Obviously, I wrote an article about, and I talked about it at length yesterday a fair bit. And Gus is obviously worried about the game time for some players, but you also hear Gus talking about the season's too long.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a really good opportunity for them to go in and say, okay, plan A is that we're going to rotate these forwards over the next few weeks. They might change the starters around a little bit. Really build on that depth. And I said that in the article, teams with depth and with greater versatility in their roster are still going to have the advantage. It does make teams more equal. It's great for coaches, which Gus talked about, and coaches are selfish and they shouldn't be near the game to change rules because he's worried that it will affect players being developed. But from my point of view, there's always 2 players that they've had on there, and I think he didn't like having an 18th and 19th man either. He sort of stipulated that as well. So it was already bad enough that we had to carry those players into a game. And then manage their time. So you've still got that same thing, but the difference is there's a player. Let's just use Josh Curran for example. He might be the 3rd man. Like the Bulldogs have often had the pecking order. If you're number 17, that means you're not usually going to be the first one they use to replace a player. Through the rotation. I think the number 17 will sort of is obviously they're the next man up sort of thing. So if we have that injury to a prop early, they're more likely to be used. Or if things are going well and they're more likely to be used. And I still think it does give the opportunity for more players to play. I sort of highlighted early as well that I don't know what they're going to do with debutants because there's going to be a time where you're carrying like a player that you're not really expecting to debut unless there was that HIA clause where you can activate an extra player, for example. So, if we're carrying Mitchell Woods, for example, at number 19, we lose Galvin or Burton early. Mitch Woods most likely gets activated for his debut. And they probably weren't planning that. So how do when we love all the content around the debut now, bringing the parents up and saying, I'm going to debut this week and all that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit in that as well. But I'm sure they'll work it out and we'll see how it all unfolds. But look, Gus isn't a big fan of change at any point. And I think that's one of the things we do have to be careful of. And I agree with Gus. people try and change rules to fix a problem and create other problems that you then need to fix. And it can help one set of teams and disadvantage another. It can really have a big effect on rosters that you've got just by changing. I think that I don't like the 6 again rule being changed back to what it was. Just gives more. I think that's to take pressure off referees from having to make decisions, because 6 again changes are rarely looked at.
Question.
And then there's another late change they've brought out, that captains don't have to be at the press conferences anymore. And I think that is based on the fact that coaches use captains as cover to avoid getting fined and stuff as well, because they refer to when a captain and a coach go in there and they're sort of supporting each other on, it's harder to breach the captain, for example, than it is the coach. So they want to sort of have the coaches there having to deal with all the moments, not being able to refer to another person. And basically, I think the media will like that as well. And I think it's a deliberate ploy based on, the theatre of rugby league more so. I don't really see how it advantages the game by not having the player, the captain in the dressing room with the coach. I really don't. I think it's good for captains to get there and speak and show leadership. I really do. So, and I love seeing our captain talk, even if it is a lot of cookie cutter stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Gas, but
yeah, mate, it's like you said. I mean, for me, having those 6 players in there, it's going to create a different set of sort of feeling through the year. And even for those who listen to Sir Aldo's sort of podcast that he did with the Source, Josh Mansour, he even talks about himself in there, how he's not big on change as well. So I mean, I know he was referring at that time to also to the new logo, which he spoke about in depth as well. Yeah. But it's one of those things in life. Sometimes you just need to have a look. And he even said when it came to the 6-man bench, he's not sure how it's going to play out. It's a learning for everyone, how that's going to work. So it's going to be you might look at the team now and they think, is Montoya really looking all right? Maybe at the last minute they'll slide in someone like a Tawala into that 19 before the game, if they don't feel like he might be okay for whatever reason. So there's different things that they'll do. It's a learning for them now. The other thing is that you're going to have to focus on is, how do you keep their game time up? If they don't play, are they okay to play New South Wales Cup or whatever? There's a lot of different options. Sometimes the scheduling won't help that. So some of those players will be losing game time themselves, just to keep building their own confidence and keep their legs going. So it's a whole learning for everyone. So it's going to be new and exciting, but I still think it's going to be better. It's going to add more dynamic. I don't really care if it's going to frustrate all the super coaches of the world. That's just the way it is. Obviously pick the players that are are going to play. If they're cheapies and they're on the bench, that's just playing lottery, obviously. So that's another thing. But yeah, focus on making sure that you've got cover, especially when inside your sanctum, that you've got players that are potentially carrying a type of injury that may or may not sort of see the game out. And you think, well, it's worth taking the risk. If he plays, we want him. If he doesn't play, or if we can replace him. But if he does come off, we've got that backup in that 6-man bench in a position that you might not normally have a replacement. So there's going to be a lot of things that everyone's going to be learning with as they go. It's look, the main fabric of the game is still the same. The product is still the same. All these minor changes, they're just there to keep evolving and keep the game fresh. And it's good from that perspective. I think because of all the head knocks that keep happening, I think they're trying to sort of give that little bit more sort of compensation to the teams to have a bit more balance around somebody going off early in the game and then you throw your whole team out. So so let's see how that goes.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, we should trust in a Gus, 100%. There was a comment there. I trust what Gus says. I
And we
trust
missed
what
this
Gus says too. But guess what? Gus knows he's not always right, and that's why he's so successful. But the good thing about Gus is that he has his trusted people that he knows that tell him when he's wrong or say no to Gus. And that's your trust thing. He keeps that very separate. So when he's speaking from the heart, I think most of the time there's no agenda. It's just what he believes, but it doesn't mean it's always right. But what I will say is that Gus is going to get it more right than most people. And that's why it's, if you're investing in Gus, your share price is going to be worth more at the end of it than what it was when it started. That's all I'm going to say about that. If Kraz has a good injury-free season, deserves rep honors. That'll be a good chat. I will actually do my series again, which will be Blues-bound Bulldogs, which we got a few of them there. Obviously, we didn't have Max King or Kurt Mann in that series, so
All Maroons,
or Maroons bound, Origin bound Bulldogs.
Origin bound. There you go, mate.
There we go. G'day, Shoey, and welcome to you.
G'day, Shoey.
I donated $10 to for the money that you gave on the super chat yesterday, Shoey. So I've actually donated that to the cause, to my walk. We'll talk more about the walk maybe tomorrow and later in the week. Elaine, thank you so much, Elaine, for sending that shirt straight away, getting that done. Be a nice surprise for Andy, who will be at the Queensland games, hopefully. So we'll be looking to get a whole bunch of us together in Queensland and meeting up and watching the games together. Beautiful. Andy, thanks, Elaine. So it'd be great to meet you all. And we got a nice shout out from Mitch Beck. Big shout out, lads. Thanks for all the content. Love listening in the car during the week. Keep it up. Big shout out to you, mate. So guys, look, we're in play again. There'll be a prize for if people want to do super chats and stuff like that. We're going every day, I know, and I'm not asking you to. If you want to contribute, that's up to you. If we get to $50, we do a random draw for a prize. And we've got a $5 carryover from last night. So we've got $45 to go. But it's all about Vegas. Leonidas, good. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So, yeah, it was good on the Mad V podcast. Obviously, you can go watch the replay of that on the YouTube channel. The young guy there called Scoop, obviously talking a lot of headlines, which a lot of youngsters do, and he was he wasn't happy that Galvin's a 7 and not a 6 and all that sort of stuff. And they asked me some questions about Marnie and Haywood and all that sort of stuff. So, but tonight, guys, I didn't really talk about it much. Dave or D, who was on here, who made a nice comment earlier. Great stuff on the Dragons pod. He's done a heap of statistics for us for this game. So we will, I will go through a few of those for you to have a look at tonight. Just around, like, there's some stuff for people who like to have a gamble responsibly if you're going to do that. There's some good stuff. Just there's also a lot of stats based on the Dragons. He reluctantly did that, and we will reluctantly provide all that. I just have to go find them, mate. But look, I think the Dragons, it's set up for an ambush, even though this Vegas journey feels sort of like I said this on their podcast. It feels like the 2014 grand final, like it's all about the Bulldogs. I know we're Bulldog centric, but even amongst the news articles and stuff, there's been a lot more focus on the Dogs. and we already know that the narratives that are going to be there if we have any losses or if things don't go the way we want them to, which is always a possibility. But I really think we will improve this year, and I do believe. But that doesn't mean you climb the ladder either, or win a semi, or get the things we really want to see get. But I do have some, really good, strong feelings that we're going to have a really good year. Because, as I said last night, that experience of gelling together is there. The main playing group are really united, strongly united. They're all system focused, and the other teams are trying to catch us guys when it comes to the defensive thing. And, they're not going to go out there and learn a system and believe in it for 2 years just to let it go. Some teams will get around us because we show them the sideline and they'll be good enough to do it on one point. But over the season, I expect the way we go about our business gets in a team's heads, and it'll continue to happen that way. I'm just trying to get these stats for us guys, but
don't let the fact that we miss a lot of tackles, guys, worry you as well. The missed tackle count is not the be all and end all when the way that the Dogs play their system. So with their effort areas and the way they go, a lot of those tackles, they might be missed, but they might not be ineffective. And it's about, because the whole team is working as one, everyone is always watching the ball, everyone is always up, everyone is always ready to do what they have to do. If the first guy doesn't get him, the second or the third will, and there's always more than one there ready to go. So that kind of effort is part of Ciraldo's system that he's been so famous for, so famous for breeding at the Panthers, and so famous now for bringing to the Bulldogs. 2023, he spoke about it very clearly. He started to try to implement those systems in the Bulldogs, but obviously we all remember the results in 2023. They were very, very far from sort of appealing. However, he stuck to his guns, changed the team up, got 10 new players in for 2024. The team that he got didn't really care about the positions. If you listen to him say, didn't care about the positions, he was more worried about the culture and the type of player that he wanted in the team. People that were going to follow what basically, they had to do. And that's exactly what they started doing in 24. Obviously, the big one there was Critter coming in, but then 25 as well. We built on that. And now we've established ourselves as the go-to team for defense. It was basically, we basically almost, topped the best defensive team in 24. Only pipped at the last hurdle there in the end of the season. But then 2025, even with a poor finish to the season, we still were the best defensive team in the comp in the regular season as well. So that's been a big focus for the Bulldogs to get back to those glory days of having that dogged defense. But I still feel that we're very close to unleashing the entertainers. So the Bulldogs have got obviously you've got Adam O'Brien there from the Newcastle Knights, who's been tasked with assisting with the attack this year. So him and Ciraldo know each other very well and have done things together before. So it wasn't a surprise that he's at the club. Ciraldo actually called him and said, "Hey, there might be an opportunity here for you if you're keen." So this was a pull, not a push, towards the club, guys. So it's very important that you look at, Ciraldo's being strong on one area. He needs support in other areas to help, so he can keep focusing on building that defensive structure. And even he talks about, obviously, you've got Gus Gould and Ciraldo extremely well, on rapport with each other and talking. However, the only place they always seem to disagree or argue about is Gus loves talking about attack, and he gets bored when Ciraldo talks about defense. That's the way it is, guys. That's the way it is. So, our banner, the Don't Break Defense banner, is all about the blue brick wall. It's about the defense, and that's what we stand with. That's what we start off with, and then everything goes from there. And I'm hoping this year we're going to start to see some more attacking flair as the season builds on. You won't really see it a lot at the start, but we're going to build into it. So come business end of the season, guys, hopefully we can get on a run like the ponies did last year. So let's see how we go with that.
Well, that's the thing, and I've just thanks for all the great comments so far, guys. I'm loving it. It's brilliant. Keep doing it. Make sure we're liking and subscribing, sharing. Let's get it out there. Let's get common sense discussions about the Bulldogs and rugby league out to the public, people. There's so much crap out there. You know, we released the article yesterday and it's just been butchered into just an absolute abomination of terrible stuff. Let's be bigger than everyone else in the way we carry ourselves. If you want. It's up to you. Yes, I believe the Dragons are set for an ambush. I really do. Like, this is their grand final. I think they're not going to sit there and go all that way to build their way into this season. I'm worried about players like Hamish Stewart. And when I say worried, I'm worried that individuals in our team may not, I don't know whether I'd say they would. Look, they're doing their video. They know where the Dragons play, where they go. The fact that loss against the South Sydney reserve grade side in the Charity Shield, I went and watched that again this morning. And from what I can tell, the Dragons played within themselves a bit. It's a bit disappointing, actually, because I watched those South Sydney kids play to win that trophy. And I'm not putting any shade on their performance. I'm not taking away from them. But the Dragons, to me, were holding something back there. They didn't take too many risks. There was some good stuff by the Souths kids where they've obviously learned some stuff through their system, and went in there and applied pressure the way that they've been taught to and told to. They've been doing what they've been learning, training with the main squad and all that sort of stuff, and it paid dividends. But the Dragons, you can say they handed them the victory, but at the same time, those kids ran up in a straight line a couple of times when they just hadn't been doing that as much, the Rabbits. They did a couple of things which they executed in their effort areas, which paid off on the scoreboard. And that's so for me, I take nothing into that Dragons trial thing. I don't think they're too worried about that. They got closer to us in round one last year. It was one of them games where we dominated them and they stayed close on the scoreboard. They had us almost beaten on that run home. Okay. And we were vulnerable because we were sort of resetting to get to the end of the season. And that was the first progression of it. If they're ever going to ambush us, it's this game. But in saying that, I think these Bulldogs are ready for it. So it wouldn't be an ambush, but look, it's all theatre, it's all big words. I think that it's going to be fireworks early, and the Dogs are going to have to weather a storm, and they're going to have to weather some high potential risk plays from this Dragon side that we may not expect. And they've got a lot of confidence in their kids. That SG Ball side that beat our Dog side could be one of those teams. It could be one of those teams that produces 5, 6, 7 NRL quality first graders and a couple of players that are next level. Hopefully we've got one of those guys at our club in Fainu Latu. Okay. But, you know, they've got so many young guys coming through, a lot of junior talent. And yeah, they've got some old stages there that know what they're doing. But I think this Bulldog side, Our preparation may not have been the best. Having Carraz and Montoya with injuries leading in, not a good thing. But we know Jacob generally comes back after an injury and goes straight from zero to hero. You know, he's not going to come and feel his way back. We know he'll be better in the second game. We do know that, but he usually comes back close to his best. Birdo's a bit different. Usually takes him a couple of games. Kickout normally takes him a couple of games. I think we're going to see a lot more from Viliami Kickout in this game. I think we're going to see a lot more from Stephen Crichton in this game. And, yeah, I think both sides are going to take some risks. Because if the Bulldogs just go there and think the system's going to save them from what's coming at them, that's the worry for me. Obviously, they've got to rely on the system, and the system is what you stick to, but they're going to have to, with no risk, there'll be no reward for both sides in this match, I believe. I think it's going to be a high-quality match, and I've got some stats to show you about it, guys. But thank you, Shoey. You always get me talking, mate, which I really love. We'll talk about Galvin and Burton as our Bulldogs halves. I just talked about on the other one. They asked me what spine would I pick. I'd pick the spine that we've got if I was the coach. Why? Because they're all very good players and they're going to get much better the more they play together. So let's get these up on the screen. So look, no total has been below. So in Vegas games so far historically, no total has been below 30 points. So if you're a betting person, over 30 points has been the way it's been so far. But in saying that, if you're a red versus black sort of guy and you go on the probability of, it's been red, now we're going to get a black, we might get an under a 30-point game. I think the way the field set up made a lot of us believe that some of the score lines would be a bit smaller. And I think that's where we probably got a bit of the advantage, is that we have really strong edge back rowers. But I do know that Leilua and Sua have impressed immensely through the off-season in their fitness. And Leilua actually was probably the most impressive forward for the Dragons. He just did a lot more work rate than I've seen him do in a long, long time. And they're going to need that from him if they're going to compete this year. The highest combined total for any game is 60 points, and the lowest being a combined total of 30. 3 of the 4 games finished with a margin of 10 points or more. So we had 40,000 in 24, 45,000 last year. 2 of the 4 winners scored the first try as well, so that's 50-50. 3 of the 4 players that scored the first try were wingers or centres, and all 3 of those players played on the right side, the right-hand side of the field. Interesting. Very, very interesting. We've got some more stats. Teams record the round after Vegas. Unfortunately, teams playing in Vegas usually play each other the next week, so it doesn't give you a good guide. And the fact we've got a bye, and we're not playing the Cowboys in round 3, we're playing the Raiders in round 3, it sort of doesn't give us an indication. And the final one is more on the stats. Round 1 stats since 2021, they lost 30-18 versus the Sharks. They beat the Warriors in 2022 in round 1. They had a bye in round 1 for 2023. They beat the Titans in round 1 in 28-4 when Shane Flanagan come to the club. And they lost to the mighty Bulldogs last year in round 1. They've got a 2-2 record with the 1 bye. In one round 1 game in the last 5 years, Shane Flanagan has a 1-1 record. His overall record at the Dragons is 48 games for 19 wins, 28 losses for a horrible 39.58%. So there's some stats on the Dwagons, or the Dargans, as they're called. What's your thoughts on that? Thank you, D, for all that work you've done with those stats, mate. And another big thank you to Gas. I've just got to say it again for the amount of time and effort he's put into getting the daily countdown out to us. It'll come out later tonight, 4 days to go, based on lining it up with America and day 0 being Sunday. But anyway, I'm sticking with the way I'm doing it. We're 5 days out. Look, we were having this discussion 150 days ago, and we're like, oh my God. our brain's just going.
It's very easy, Michael. I post it late at night. So then tomorrow, the whole day, what are you going to see? You're going to see day 4 days to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, because I know that I put it late at night. People will look at it, and then the whole day tomorrow, it's day 4. 4 days out. So when you hit, so day 0 is Sunday for us, because that's game day. It's that's like how many sleeps to go, guys. That's what we count. You know, anyone excited on a holiday or wherever they're doing, or waiting for the doggies, we're thinking how many sleeps to go. How many sleeps? Well, that's how many, guys. We got to get there, and then that final day is day 0. That's game day. So yeah. But don't be worried about Carraz, guys. Like Michael said, and even Montoya. They trained a lot of the off season. Only the last few weeks they've been basically a little bit off. So they all know each other's play. Everyone knows their setup. So don't be worried about the fact they're not going to be there. If they're fit, then they'll know their position in the team and what they have to do. Even if Carraz is still on the right side now without Critter or whatever happens, they'll still be fine, guys. So and I expect that they will have their own surprises and be ready for an ambush. Everybody knows that when you go over to Vegas, every team is going to try to pull out the big guns and have that big game and do whatever they're going to do. You know, it didn't go so well last year for the Warriors, but look at them. They bounced back, and they probably should have been in the top 4 if they hadn't lost Metcalf late in the season. So, yeah. It's people are quick to write people off after one game or whatever. That's the NRL. That's the way the media works. But the Dogs, to them, this is a carry on from what they've built over the last few years, and it's going to be a massive game for us. So those stats are very, very interesting and greatly put together by Dave and all that analysis they've been doing. So at the end of the day, execution on the day is going to be key. So, those who get off to a good start and maintain their discipline. The field configuration, like Michael said, it's not exactly like a normal NRL size. It's a little bit narrow and et cetera. So it's not the same exact dimensions, which is why people think, it's going to be harder to do, but it's still going to come down to, it's a fast track. It's always a fast track there, which it's kind of like us playing on our Sunday day game, which has always suited us very well. So let's see how that goes. But, very, very exciting stuff, guys.
It is a night game over there, though, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's undercover, though. That's why.
Yeah. Yep. So it'd be perfect conditions inside.
Correct.
Absolute perfect conditions. Before we get into some more of the chats, I actually wanted to talk about one of those rule changes, really positive rule changes around 7 tackle sets. That when you're going for a try and you knock the ball on, it's no longer a 7 tackle set. It'll be a 6 tackle set if you knock it on in goal. It's a wonderful rule, and we saw the first really good example of that in the trial versus the Knights. And the reason I say that is that we had a bomb that went up, and it sort of looked like we were never going to get to the ball. But Connor Tracy chased hard through, got his hands to the ball. Now, he knocked it on, like it was always going to be a hard take. Now, if he lets the fullback catch that, it's a 7 tackle set, right? Changes the game. These things have massive, if you're going to make 6 tackles, then make a 7th tackle. The chances of you stopping that are so much less than stopping the 6. And as far as your field position game goes, it changes so many things. So those little extra effort areas to get to the ball to compete are going to bring the risk versus reward. So where we do a lot of stuff where we've sort of let players catch the football, usually not in goal area, by the way, but it just enables halfbacks to sort of not have to position it right on the try line. For example, they can actually get that ball in the in-goal area, and players actually want to go and compete for it and aren't afraid to knock it on and cost their team a 7-tackle set. Was speaking to Joby this morning about it, and he'd like to see that extended he'd like to wipe out 7-tackle sets altogether. But to extend that to grubbers as well would also bring so much more dynamic as far as point scoring potential and things like that, and having teams second guess and whatever. But this is one of the good things that we've seen from that rule already, that if the players try to go and get a touch on the ball, like, you're not just going to let them other team mark it. You're better off knocking it on, So, and in doing that, if you're there, you're going to have a much better chance of catching the footy, and that's going to bring the really good leapers into the game, like your Jacob Carrazes and that sort of stuff. Montoya goes all right under the high ball as well. I wouldn't call him a 9 out of 10. I'd call him like a 6 or 7, but some wingers they're gutsy. They go for it, but they're just outmatched all the time in that area. Carraz is quite good, as we know. So, yeah, I think we're also going to see a lot more of both our centres getting behind the ball as well, especially in this game. If there's anything with Montoya and Carraz where they might need the run at all, I think we'll see a lot more sort of efforts from Crichton and Cherry to help out and bring balance to that, getting off our line as well. Time to go through some chats.
Yeah, mate, I'll bring us back up to speed. So, Craig's saying we've got Kikau there, who's a lethal weapon, and I think he is going to be primed for a big game. So,
yep,
some of that big game experience, those grand final winners, they'll know what it's like to be ready for those big games. So, they'll be bringing the teams up around them. And I think, guys, you have to remember, everyone is very disappointed still about the way we finished last year, especially the players. They would be absolutely gutted that they couldn't have their best, strongest, fittest team out there doing the job in the semi-finals. And they felt like they deserved to be, at least a couple of games up on where they were. So this is the start of that redemption for them. The whole off-season, they've trained their house down to get themselves back in a position to start. And this is game 1. So last week they didn't do too much against Newcastle and still basically kept them to 0, and didn't have to do much. Newcastle was very was woeful with the ball. They lost a lot of cheap ball, but this game is not going to be an easy game, and they're going to be up for it. So whatever the Dragons have got, we're going to have even more. So everyone, especially these experienced Kickouts and Crichtons and everything, they'll be pumped and up for this and ready. We'll go into our thoughts on Galvin and Burton as we get through the team. So JP, we've got great confidence in the Bulldogs hammering the Dragons. Thanks, Craig. And yes, we're all confident that Sean O'Sullivan will deliver. Thanks for that, Andy. So he's a great sort of very experienced player that we've got in the team. But I mean, I was talking to some people on the weekend and they were saying, O'Sullivan looks really good. He could be one of your players. So, well, look, you got to look at O'Sullivan as an overall. I mean, how many seasons he's been playing NRL now? How many clubs he's playing? I think the maximum he's ever played in one season is 14 games. So there must be a reason with that. So we have to have a look at it as a whole. So if he was that good a player consistently and always ready to go, obviously why hasn't he been the dominant half in a team? So the job for the Bulldogs now is to get to milk whatever the 28-year-old's got now and get the best out of him, and then share it around to our halves and make us a stronger team. And I think
can I do a shout out? I just saw on the Greenacre Tigers post, Gas. Sorry to cut you off. I'll let you continue in a sec. that Sean O'Sullivan's actually been announced as a Green Acres Tiger, I think, coaching coordinator. So he'll be helping out one of our local junior clubs
There you go.
with his coaching expertise. So it's not just about it. That's just to add what Gaz was saying. He's been at a number of clubs. He's the journeyman. He's got a lot of knowledge. He helps us. Signings are about what they bring to our club, not just what you see from 17 players on the field each week. And sometimes what you see on the field is a result of what some of these players that you don't see as much bring to our club. And I go back to the Drew Hutchison thing. Toby Sexton doesn't have a great season in defence without having a player like Hutchison who was able to adapt to the system as early and do what he did. And I see Sullivan in a similar sort of realm. I liked the way he defended when he came on. I liked his involvement. I liked what he brought to the team. But to me, he's not the best 7 option for our side. I'm sure he's got ideals to prove me and other people wrong in that. And, if he can do that and we can keep winning, I'm all on board, right? But, I'll let you get back to what you're saying there, guys. Sorry about that, mate.
No, that's all right. That's great. So, Greenacre obviously in the heart of Bulldogs territory, guys. So, right on the doorstep of Belmore. So it's great acquisition to have him around there. And I'm sure, coming over with the blue and whites, there'll be a lot of fanfare and celebration around him as well. But again, you need to have the right people. And every time the Bulldogs sign up someone, get the right person to the club, they're always making sure that they're getting the right person to the club. It's so imperative, guys. Even just something simple like Leo Thompson. Does everyone agree that we needed Leo Thompson in the team? I'm sure you'll all say, yes, we needed that enforcer. But they still didn't go and sign him until they spoke to someone like a James Fisher-Harris and said, hey, what's this guy like? Is he going to fit in our team? And someone like that who's obviously close to Sir Aldo said, mate, yes, this is the player you want. And a sponge, learning all the time, wanting to get better. So that's why it's very important that the Bulldogs are getting the right people there to keep building. And then you can see our pathways. Gus has done an amazing job developing that for us. So what's coming through, guys, is unbelievable. But the key focus for us is going to be the patience in preserving all these juniors that are coming through. There was talk about the experience of Nathan Cleary being ready at 18 and Luai being ready at 20. But sometimes you might feel like you're ready. Your coach, your manager gets in your ear, and then you're off you go, and you don't have that patience to wait. But if you do wait your turn and it comes the right way, which we're doing with Mitchell Woods at the moment, you get paid back in the long run, and the club will as well. So that's the patience game we have to do. But what we're building now, what we've got, is something very, very, very special. So we're all in for an amazing ride. And for us, it starts again on Sunday for us and Saturday if you're in Vegas. So it's going to be something really exciting. I think you jumped ahead there, mate.
Oh, yep. Yeah, just having a look through. Well, Timmy's here. Welcome, Timmy.
Welcome, Timmy.
And Brian, I think he came onto the and was watching a bit of the big Mad V podcast before his friend rang him.
I noticed Kangaroo Killer was there too, but I haven't seen him here.
Oh, here he is. Kangaroo, get a to you, buddy. And James Formosa was there supporting as well. So it's great to see you all there. So Leonidas is saying that Loco Pacifica Tonga wants out. First I've heard of it, but and Kangaroo says he'll go to Para. Well, look, we also had the news today. We saw the photos of Iongi. Really disappointing. You know what? Like, choose whatever drug you want, guys. I couldn't give a shit what people do. But in our game of rugby league and in our society, you're not allowed to do that. I don't know why the fuck anyone would let anyone take a photo of them while they're in a bath, rolling a joint. I just don't understand it. And look, might come back something else or whatever, but opens up the door hopefully for young Joash Papali. And while he's got an Eels jersey on, I'll try and not to look at the jersey, just look at his head and support him unless he's playing us.
The only simple explanation, Michael, is if you are doing that kind of behavior, guys, then yes, when you do that, you're going to make stupid decisions like being taking a photo because you're not going to bloody know what the hell you're doing. So when you do something silly like that in that position, then yes, things are going to happen that are going to get you in trouble. We saw it with the Fox for us a couple of years ago. Whatever he did or didn't do, and it comes back to bite you guys. When you make poor decisions, the consequence follows you guys. These bad decisions follow after. So,
he's signed till 2030, and he's done that.
So yeah,
the next big thing out of Penrith. I think if he waited in their system, he eventually becomes a great fullback for them. But he went to Para. He's done well. They got Joash as well. Joash Papali. Hopefully he gets an opportunity, and hopefully this is treated properly. Like Parramatta need to show they're serious. Even they'll be tempted to try and get him back in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean, and have some sort of excuse around it or whatever. This might be a way that Volandis goes, okay, well, we'll let him back in 3 weeks if Lomax can go to the Storm. Would not surprise me because businessmen like to get things sorted, and he's one of those people for the good and for the bad. And
normally, I think you're right, but I don't think on this occasion with all the subpoenas out there, that's going to happen at the moment. Normally, I'd say yes. They would like potentially be businessmen, but with all the subpoenas out there, and that's why everyone knows what's happening in those text messages because there was a subpoena. You had to release what was said. All these things. Normally, yes, but at the moment, everyone's saying I'm not saying nothing about Lomax.
Well, when that came out, that like that arrogance to say, "Hey, Abdo, can you get this sorted so we can get down to business?"
Turn the torch.
Apply the blowtorch. Put the torch on them. All that tells us is the NRL, ever since the existence of the Storm, have tried to make it work there. And there's been little things that they've done in order to help that happen. And that's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying the Bulldogs don't get some favours at different times and other teams don't get favours. We've seen the NRL come in and save some sides financially and taken like with the Gold Coast, and I think they helped with Newcastle at one point. So look, we can be all outraged by it, but I'm outraged by seeing those photos. It just pissed me off. But when Valentine Holmes can hold a baggie and miss one game, and even love Latrell. People know that I really love Latrell Mitchell. I think he's a great guy. And, he's never been fitter. Latrell Mitchell, the superstar. He's never been fitter. I reckon Matt Nable's actually looking back at the producers going, did I say this last year? Then he got injured. Round 2. Anyway, we'll have some stuff coming out for the season launch from Matty Nable on Buzz 360. Buzz is still around, guys. Don't you worry about that. He's there. But yeah, guys, just pissed me off that a kid who's so good at the game. And look, and when I'm watching him too, I look at that. I see a lot in photos. People's soul are alive in photos. Their soul's right there to see. And he looked calm. He looked at ease. He looked relaxed. And he looked like someone who has done this a lot. So unless it's some sort of AI thing that's gone to another level, they've got a player, in my opinion, who's obviously been smoking a lot of pot for a long time. Maybe he was just having it to relax. It just could have been in the off season. on holiday, no care in the world. Life doesn't get any better. I'm going to have myself a little joint and whatever. And look, now it's all over the fucking newspapers, all over social media. And one of the talents of our game is now, tarnished. Anyway. But look, pot, alcohol, drugs. In my opinion, these rugby league players, and most of them, let's be honest, are abstaining most of the time. They're having a couple of drinks. They're not going out all the time everywhere. Used to know where to find footy players all the time and where to go to see them. Now they're not as visible. They're professionals. They do focus. The game's never been in a better situation with the behaviour of our young men across the spectrum. We have to give positives. There hasn't been too many incidents that come out, but when a player like Valentine Holmes, and there's a few others, Storm players dancing on tables and this sort of stuff, they won't punish properly. And that's why it continues to be there, and why, if the punishments were bigger in this realm, and I don't mean criminal punishments, I mean, you can't play for 12 months. All right, we're going to support you and help you. You're still contracted. You're still part of our cap. We get penalised because you're penalised, right? Okay? But you're just not allowed to play. I think there's some stronger rules that they can bring in. Look, that doesn't solve society, right? Drugs are a problem in society. You don't solve it through legislation. But I think there needs to be, some more penalties and consequences around
deterrence.
To deter these guys. I don't mean death penalties and, mandatory sentencing or anything like that. I mean actually holding the person accountable and everyone knowing that if there's a photo around of me smoking some pot or snorting some cocaine or whatever, I'm in shit, big shit that I may not recover from.
And you have to remember, Michael, that every single person alive at the moment is a 007 in disguise. All of us carry a mobile phone that has recording, video, all sorts of capabilities. Every one of us now that walks around, from young to old, carries a device now that can. So we're all walking espionage spies there. So at any moment, this can all be captured. Whatever happens, we're all just popping out a camera or a video or something straight away to capture this. So it's not like it was. I mean, if you talk to some of the players of yesteryear, some of the old boys, they'll tell you, oh, you should see what we used to get away with in our time. Because that's it. It used to happen and no one was there to see it, or no one could record it, and then off they went. But now the whole world is just ready to just shame someone or expose someone. It's just the nature of the beast at the moment. It's unfortunate, but that's the way that society is at the moment. People just, love the controversy and chasing that negative. So it's a shame. Like it's hard on the players, guys. It's hard on them. Like a lot of them suffer different, mental states of getting by. Some of them love to go out fishing and doing some of them love to do other things. Everyone has their release, and some of them just want to be left alone. So it's a tough world at the moment for these guys because there's so much spotlight. Can you imagine like being a Lachie Galvin last year, guys? Come on, be for real, all of you. How was that for a 19-year-old to be the center of every single media source, every single person's post, podcast, everything was all about Lachie Galvin? And people still to this day will say, oh, I don't like him because he ruined our season. Oh, I don't like. Guys, you're going to need to wake up to yourselves. This is a 19-year-old kid who's out there having a go. It's got nothing to do with what he's doing. It's the Bulldogs' decision to sign him up. Bulldogs put him on the field and did what they did. He's just the player that has to go out and do what he has to do. Same as every other young person that gets isolated and exposed. You have to remember these are young kids. If you've got any kids yourself, you'd want the best for them and you want to support them. for him to come through what he's come through, I mean, that's admirable to say the least. And thankfully, he's got the support network around him, from family to team. And then podcasts like us, who never, ever once questioned what he was doing, even though other Bulldog podcasts or other media channels, even if they said they support the Bulldogs, were going against it, which was so wrong. You know, we were even, you know, basically shaming and stopping Fox Media with ourselves. Why we, you know, developed Dogfather Media so strongly, because of all these things. So, yeah, it's something that we're all passionate about, because it's not fair, guys. They are just like us. They get up and they've got a job to do. And imagine if somebody was critiquing and criticizing your job every day of the week, unfairly, at how I see it. So it wouldn't be a good feeling. And I don't really want to get up and go to work again feeling like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, people preach mental health, and then they go and, you know, attack all these players and young players. You know, there's nothing wrong with holding people accountable for doing the wrong thing with your words. But the problem is, and I even sensed it tonight in the vodcast, like the young fella Scoop, really passionate Dragons fan, and loving what he was doing out there, and he's like, Galvin's not a 6. I mean, he's not a 7. And I'm like, why isn't he? And he goes, oh, because he manages them terribly. I said, how? And nothing after that. At least there was some sort of talk about his performance. But the problem with the young kids, especially, and kids around that age, and it shocks me when older guys are acting like this as well. They treat this kid like they hate him. Like they dead set think. I think Reece Walsh suffered a lot of this as well. But when I look at Reece Walsh, you got a kid running around bloody, you know, wearing nail polish, and he's bucking a lot of trends. He's making some people go, I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. Like, and he's got 1.5 million followers or something. So he's got a whole other audience out there. Trell Mitt has got a whole massive following of people that love him. But so many haters. And look, I get when he's out on the field and he's a big boy and he roughs someone up a little bit, and he's, you know, when he gets excited when he kicks a goal from the sideline and they lost the game. I can understand why people would question that. But I think for Trell, it might have been a thing where he's been really practicing hard on that part of his game and he nailed it. And he's excited about it. Or we just executed a play and we got it. Fucking awesome. He loves the game of rugby league. He loves kids. He's a family man. He's got a lot of business interests. Shy guy, you know. But we hate him for some reason. There's so many people hate him. And they hate Galvin. And they hate these players. Like, I used to have a hatred against Darius Boyd when I was younger. Why? Because I didn't like the way he smirked when they scored. That was it. Made me hate him. And I used to say things as well. So I'm talking about stuff that I've done as well, guys. But this is about learning. When you're hearing people ranting and raving about how shit someone is based on media headlines, pull them up. You know, pull them up. Say, why is that? What makes you say that? Or how do you know that's true? Oh, it comes out you just don't like him. Oh, you don't like the look of him. You don't like his haircut. Oh, okay. God, how's your home life going? If that's your biggest problem in your life, Lachlan Galvin, I tell you what, you're doing all right. Is Tony, the big T from the Mad Dragons. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight, Mike. Good luck, but not this weekend. Yeah, Big T, he's very passionate. He had a very passionate introduction today, which I pointed out to him. There was a few inaccuracies in it. Well, you know, you got to do your homework when you talk to me, Gas, and
yes.
You're a little bit the same. You know, a lot of people listen and hear stuff. I'm a reader of stuff, and that's a big deal. But Tony is an absolute legend, and so is Jesse, who run the Mad V podcast. They love the juniors. They ask a lot of good questions. They love their team. They love rugby league, and they're good supporters of their club. Okay, and they're doing a similar thing to what we do, and that is support and show passion for their team. And that's what we've got to do. That's what we have to do. And I think what we'll do over the next couple of days, guys, is really break down where we think the Dragons' weaknesses are, and what our weaknesses are for the Bulldogs, and where the Dragons can hurt us. I think that'll be a good thing to look at. And I'd also like to hear your thoughts on it as well. But Andy, we can start there. Andy sort of launched into that. Which team is the most mobile pack, Dogs or Dragons? I think we do for this game. What's your thoughts, Gas? Who's got the most mobile pack and why?
Look, we've always we've always been prided ourselves on having that mobile pack that can play. Everyone talks about how a lot of our players in there have come from the back line. Some of those players in our pack as well, and have developed into forwards. So, and we've got players that can play either in the middle or on the edges. So that alone for me gives us a lot of sort of flexibility in what we're doing. But it's all about the legs at the moment for me. It's all that effort that they've got and that training. So the mobile pack being one thing. I mean, if you looked at the other day, Manly had a very huge pack against the Rabbitohs, but on a hot day, it worked against them. Yes, there's a lot of size there, but it worked against them. So the Dragons equally have a mobile pack as well, and they'll believe themselves that they've got a lot of strengths in that pack. They've got a lot of youngsters that have been developed coming through. So it will not be an easy game for both teams, guys. It will not be an easy game for both teams. So absolutely love sort of the contest, and I'm actually glad that the Bulldogs have got the Dragons in Vegas. I don't think it would have been. I couldn't see it being a sort of a game against pretty much any other team other than the Dragons giving us this sort of feelings towards the game. Pitting two sort of closely sort of geographical teams and a long time rivalry into one of these. So hopefully for us guys. If you saw yesterday, we spoke about, 5 days to go on the countdown. Our fifth premiership that we won was 1985. And there Michael, you can tell us the team that we beat for that fifth premiership.
The St. George Dragons.
7-6, guys. So
they actually finished minor premiers in all three grades. They won under 21s, or under 23s, I think it was at the time. They won reserve grade, and they couldn't believe that they didn't get the clean sweep. But I can, because we had a player called Steve Mortimer, and we never had 6 tackle sets. And we had halfbacks that could control the game and play out of the line. And, it was great. A really great day. Really nerve-wracking at the end.
Yes.
But, Slippery Morris, Stevie Morris, the father of Josh and Brett, started as a halfback at the Roosters, I think, before going to the Dragons as a winger and played on the wing. I think he might have played in the halves a couple of times for him.
Yeah.
But he was the most dangerous player at the Dragons, and he got that try late. And, we basically starved him of possession for a long time in that game. And Warren Ryan's Bulldogs went back to back. And, very, 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 very. My vocabulary's
still our only back-to-back. Still our only back-to-back. So, guys, we have to eclipse that soon. So be ready. This is the team that Serraldo's building, and I believe he will be the coach that takes us to multiple grand final victories, guys. So for all of you who've been patient for the last 10 years, all you young kids who haven't seen the success that we've grown up with, all these stories that myself, Michael, and so many of you can talk about, be ready for what's coming, guys, because the Bulldogs are building something that's going to be sustained and long-term. We've been through the dark days, and probably surprisingly for a lot of us, a lot longer and darker than most of us ever wanted. But they've built the team back up from the ground up, from the team, from the management, from the coaching staff, from all the people that work for the Bulldogs, all sort of 85 at the moment who are over there in Vegas enjoying their time as well. It's an amazing sort of team culture, and it's only going to get better. The centre will be opened in the next few years. At the back of Belmore there, the centre of excellence, and the team is just going to continue growing, and it's going to be something really special. So get in there, strap yourselves in, but it all starts again this Sunday for those in Australia. Yes, can't wait.
All right, beautiful, buddy.
Injured.
Hey,
on the screen, mate. He's asking what's happened to Jethro. He's injured.
Yeah, he got injured in the Fiji in the Pacific Championships last year, playing for Fiji. So I think he's expected back halfway through the season, maybe a bit before. So he'll be out for a while. I remember my first Dragons game I went to. I've never seen so many Dragons supporters with missing teeth and fake Prada, Calvin Klein handbags. Bit of banter, hey? There's some banter for you, Tony. Get it into you, mate. JB says he always pulls people up when they're talking crap about youngsters and stuff. He also made a nice comment that they used to punish people a lot more for drugs. It didn't stop. I think the fact they have a lot more education support, which helps them. I think, look, as I said, education, health, it's a health problem. But in the game of rugby league, it's not, it's not the law. So rugby league can impose a suspension, I believe, that and really help that player and educate them. But I'm telling you, they've been educated. They've been helped, right? Yeah, we're never going to fix the problem. That's just what we have to understand. We're never going to fix it. It's not a problem you can just – there's always going to be someone who makes a decision to do something for whatever reason. But I think for some people, though, it would reduce instances that some people would think twice. So I think we could reduce it further. We'll never be able to fix it completely, but I do think we can reduce it further. Because, look, when mum comes to get you out of the, out of the cell, out of the lockup for the night, it's a pretty embarrassing thing, all right? A lot of people have been there, had a night there or whatever, for whatever reason, when they were young or whatever. It's one of those questions. Ever spent a night in jail or at the cop station? And I reckon 20 to 30% of people would answer it honestly and say yes. But look, people dishonor their families all the time. They dishonor their game, their club mates. And that's what's happened with this young fella. So anyway, let's get back onto it, eh? What's happening?
There you go, mate, there.
Oh, here he is. Harry Shuki. Guys, go and follow this guy, Bulldogs Commentary, on Instagram. He actually got to meet the players, and they were excited to meet him. They all follow him as well because he does his commentary off the TV. Absolutely brilliant. But beside all that passion of that he brings, he also does some really nice takes on just analysing the game. He's got this, I think it goes for maybe 5 minutes just analysing Critter. Really love that. Gets some nice insights. I'd like to get, I'd love him to join All Things Bulldogs and make us a trio one day. But yeah, great guy, great supporter, and get around and watch his stuff. It's hilarious. If kids are around, maybe it does have some language in the passion, but definitely something I love to watch, and many others do as well. So thank you, Harry. And he says, can we please talk about Raymond Peru? He's an absolute weapon. And in my opinion, he'll be our long lost X factor. What are your thoughts, boys? Great shout out. I'll go first, Gas. Raymond Peru gave me a few little chills. Obviously, I tried to calm the farm a little bit, Harry. I was like, okay, Leo's just done all the work over 65, getting smashed on his own end. Forwards were getting beaten by the more experienced Cowboys guys. Leo had some great moments, as we saw. Sorry, not Leo, Tay Cochrane. Sorry, guys. Having a fucking brain snap. Tay Cochrane, beautiful guy. And we'll see some nice shirts that his sister made for him and his parents and that at Vegas. You know, he probably won't get on the field, but funnier things have happened. But done his family proud to be there. But as I said, first 60 minutes, 65, Tay did all the hard stuff. Raymond comes on and he's just electric, right? Absolutely electric. Now, if you can go back and watch some highlights of him, I might actually do a feature on Raymond. I think I will because fans want to see it. His under-19 origin for Queensland highlights are really good. And then you get David Bryanton after that. He's pretty special, who had a pretty good game on the weekend in our win over the Rooters. But Peru did give me that Benny Barber feel. And, you know, when we first saw Benny Barber, we couldn't wait to see him play. And he gets that final round game in, I think, 2008, where we come last. He played in the last game, come off the bench, I think. Plays 3 games the next season. Would have played more than 3 games in 2010. Would have played if he didn't bash Jamal Indris. And then plays 20 games or something in 2011, has a good year. And then Des gets hold of him, fixes his defense, and he goes on to become Dalian Player of the Year. Raymond Peru has all that ahead of him. And the good thing he has that I probably feel a little bit for Joash Papali at the top, because whilst we got Tracy and Taff into the squad and that sort of thing, we were lacking a couple of seasoned sort of superstars and depth in that fullback position. And it sort of got to the point where, yeah, I think having Raymond there and having David Bryanton there, like they might already have their finger on the pulse that we've got to have these guys in our spine and in our team, and they're already setting pathways for them to come through together. And that's not to say that the other kids in this system aren't going to say, well, I've got news for you, buddy. But they do give you the chills and the thrills. But it's all going to depend on how well they can defend through this period. The communication. So we see all the energetic stuff, running through the middle, stepping off both feet, absolutely electric. Don't know what he's going to do next. Just excitement machine. But what they're going to also want to see is how he communicates with the troops to get him in the right spots. How he, knows how to hold his cards as well as fold them. You know what I mean? That sort of stuff is very, very important for these kids when they come through. And, let's enjoy all the attacking stuff, but that's where we can also put our attention as well. What are they doing on the other side? And it's really hard because the game's trying to grow its game. It's always about scoring points. Highlights packages are pretty much just the tries. We don't see enough of, we saw Connor Tracy's 2 try savers though in the KO minis and stuff, which was great. Suppose in an 8-6 scoreline, you're only on a 17-minute coverage, you're going to need some moments to show. But it'd be good if we just saw a little bit more, I think, in highlight packages that aren't just scoring tries for people. It's actually really hard to actually go through and bring a highlights package that people are interested in unless they're scoring tries though. So it's a bit of a catch-22. and I'm raving on, but yeah, I just love the way he joined in, especially his right edge stuff. And that's the thing, you know. A lot of fullbacks like to go to the left and become lethal on that side. But yeah, I think he's our eyes weren't lying to us. There's a reason to be excited about him just through what we saw, and I cannot wait for Jersey Flag and New South Wales Cup because obviously he'll get opportunities in both, whether Tay has an injury or, you know, he might get called up to be on the extended bench for NRL Tay. There might be some questions around Tracy, for example, might have an injury. They might need to worry about it and carry Tay on a bench. Raymond comes up and plays fullback in New South Wales Cup, or Tay just has such a good dominates New South Wales Cup that he gets picked in first grade. Tracy gets injured, whatever it might be. But I think we're going to definitely see some players we're going to have a lot of interest in this year, and he'll be at the head of the list, I'm sure. But thank you for talking to us, Harry. Love you, man. I'm like one of your fans, one of your big fans. What else have we got?
Yeah, mate. Timmy agrees as well. Yes, he was electric in the trials for that little time that we saw him. Yeah, Brian, mate, we've had a lot of discussion about that. Yeah, it's crazy, mate, how they keep letting that happen. Kangaroo Killer's asking, did you watch New South Wales Cup trials? Can you tell us how everyone went? So, what's your thoughts
I didn't
on
watch
that, Mel?
I didn't watch all of the Cup trials. I did watch SG Ball and Harold Matts. I was watching a bit of the Cup trial. We started all right. Underhill was on fire early. I think he ended up coming off injured later on. Yeah, some good stuff there, guys. And remember, was a lot of the younger guys playing. Like Cooper Toy, I think played in the trial, but then was heading on the plane to Vegas afterwards. Him and who was the other one that played? I think Tay might have played in that as well, did he? Can't remember. But, yeah, look, New South Wales Cup will start shortly. The trials, the Dragons had Joey O'Neill and that. They played very well. They've got a lot of great young stars and a lot of depth. And we'll probably and obviously they've got 22 players that have come to Vegas as well. So they were the benchmark last year, the Dragons, in that grade. And we've got a bit of work to do. But look, I'm confident we can beat that side in New South Wales Cup and in any grade this season. But Logan Spinks, there was actually a really good pass. I think it was the week before, actually. A guy that we've just brought over, maybe from the Warriors, and he played Cup. Beautiful offload to Logan Spinks to score the last try. Ariata or something his name is. I need to find out, guys. Talk to us, Gas, while I find that out, because this is another player to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So we've also got here, Dragons have got, I'm guessing, crap against us. Yeah, showy. And Harry was just also mentioning about, I'm guessing, Peru, that he's our Reece Walsh. Mark his words. This kid will be special. So, look, if he's mentioned in any breath of someone like a Ben Barber, as Michael has just done, then yes, I definitely agree, that he will be someone. Let's see how that goes. G'day, tight lines. Yes, I think I know. I'm guessing which place you might be at. So, welcome. Yes, Lakemba boy, Belmore boy all my life. So yes, That was my former residence, and that was, I think I might know. You might have been up near the second roundabout in the double-story house, I think, if I remember correctly. But maybe send me a message later. We can have a catch-up. Timmy's asking, who do you think will be the starting halves for New South Wales Cup? I think, Timmy, we should wait till after Vegas next week, and we can have a chat about the New South Wales Cup teams leading up to the game on Saturday, which will be at Belmore on the 7th, guys. 2:15 at Belmore next Saturday. So come out and say hello, guys. We'll be out there with the banner. Come and say hello. Kangaroo, I'm hoping that's just your opinion, mate. He's actually a really decent guy. So yeah, he's like a lot of players on the field. They do what they have to do to win, but off the field, he's an absolute legend. I can say that confidently for Latrell. Brian, I know you were probably talking about the stuff before. Yep, the thing that pisses him off is that all the reporters break these stories and they end up being drunks and drug takers themselves. Yes, we've seen a few of them fall by the wayside in the last few years, unfortunately. So, what do they say? People in glass houses. So, yep. D, thank you very much, mate. This podcast is my drug. You can't get enough. So, yeah, mate. It's I'm sure that Michael gives you all the thrills as well, mate. So, and Joby's mentioning that they used to punish a lot more. It didn't stop them.
That one.
Yep. So, and go on, mate.
Jack Alipate. So Jack Alipate, signing from the Entrance Tigers. I think is the Entrance Tigers where Harry Hayes came from. Pretty sure it is. I'll need to check that out. Beautiful offload round the corner, falling down round the corner to Logan Spinks to score. Yeah, love that shit. We don't see enough of that. Want to see it in reserve grade. Want to see it in first grade one day. Not enough risks in that department. And Fiafaki Tupanua, who's not Satili Tupanua's brother, is another one to get excited about. There's Brave Sloan, there's CJ Uday, there's Bailey Myers, there's Logan Spinks, there's everybody. How do we fit them all in? You can't.
There's a comment there for you, mate.
Read your column on Zero Tackle. Big Souths fan here. You wrote that we signed Jackson Torpenay, but apparently it's not true. Thoughts, love the content. Yeah, well, I got my source. It's never been wrong. And, yeah, you trust your sources. Like Gus Gould is a truster. That's why Cameron Serrauto will be the coach of the Bulldogs for a long time, because Gus trusts him with his life. Gus trusted a player called Sean Timmins ahead of, I think, Braith and Astor and those type of players. You know, I'd be right in saying that. And Astor is at the same time. But whoever, we had proper 5'8" in New South Wales. He picked Sean Timmins there. New South Wales won by a point. Sean Timmins kicked the field goal. Timmins could have played prop anywhere, right? Trust. When you trust someone and they give you a story, you write the story. So look, if the trust is broken, it was broken to the person, you know, the person telling me that this was true, has told the truth. Okay. Whether the story turns out to be true or not, that's another thing. But let's hope Jackson does play for Souths like it's been reported, and does a really good job with getting his career back on track, and people can abstain from being grubs towards him. Yeah, call out that you don't like that he turned on the Canterbury club. That's fair. I don't like what you did, Jackson, by taking that action. Whether you meant it or not, or whether you're giving bad advice, you don't have to like it. But doesn't mean we have to go and then just rub his face in it everywhere we go. Let the boys on the paddock sort that out. you know, and the kid did love the Bulldogs, and he did. Anyone who saw him, he gave time. He signed signatures. He did stuff off the field. He helped people who were sick. He did he went and spent time with kids and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, there was this situation. We don't have to like it. I didn't like it, but doesn't mean we have to death ride him. But David, look, yeah, Souths have become the opportunity club. They're giving lots of players opportunities. They believe in the Bulldog system and what players have learnt within that system, and because they want to be able to defend as well as the Bulldogs, because defence wins premierships, and I'm sure they're not the only club who think that way. And if they can get some Bulldogs into their system that are good, that they believe are good people, that may also have a bit of a chip on their shoulder that want to perform and prove themselves, there's no greater asset to any business or any team than someone who's self-motivated. And if he's self-motivated to go out there and do good things, and South Sydney have spoken to him like I believe they have, and signed him like I believe they have, I would back their judgment in that 100%. They gave Ryan Gray a chance, who never looked like he'd ever play first grade for the Bulldogs. He played first grade for the Rabbits. Now, it wasn't their best season, but he lived his dream and he held his own. And he was also in a team that made a grand final in SG Ball, right? So obviously got some talent, works his ass off, right? They've signed Geordie Mazzoni. They've signed the Afoalu brothers. And there'll be more Bulldogs that they'll sign.
But what a luxury for some of these players to actually then say that they played under Wayne Bennett, whoever it is that goes over there. It's an amazing thing. Like, he's approaching 1,000 games. He's a legend of our game. He's probably one of the, if not the greatest coach in NRL history. So any player that has the privilege of playing under Wayne Bennett will be, it's an absolute joy. And just to give you an example of how revered he is, even if any of you have a chance to listen to the podcast with that I mentioned earlier with Seraldo and the Source, Josh Mansour, when he had a few questions to ask at the end, Seraldo asked Source, he goes, what was it like basically, under Wayne Bennett? Like even Seraldo wants to know, what was it like? What does he do so well? Why is he such a good coach? So he's asking a player like Mansour, who actually played at the Rabbitohs as well, that kind of question. So that's how he is in the game. He's just, he's an amazing sort of person, the way that he works with his teams, and all the players want to play for him. I think if you saw, there was a news article the other day with Jai Gray, and he said, we just want to win. So when we go back in the change rooms, we see a happy Bennett. Like, that's just, everyone's got their own motivation, but he brings the best out of the people and he works with them and he's focused on them and he's got a great way of sort of keeping everyone together. So when you're there, you have to do your job under Wayne Bennett. You just have to do your job. There's no excuses for anything else, and he'll work with you and he'll support you, put his arm around you and get the best out of you. That's an amazing feeling. Every coach that's out there wants to be like that and have that in them as well. You have to have the empathy. Not everyone has it. You have to develop that. So it's a great thing. So any player that has the opportunity at the moment to play at the Rabbitohs or wherever Wayne Bennett is, and it's a great opportunity for them. So yeah.
And Brian also mentioned that. Did we see was a good watch? Gus and Sarah go back a long way. They certainly do. He trusts him. That's why he's at the Bulldogs. So Andy, that was Tom Amone. So obviously he did well in the UK Super League. I'd suggest the fact that it just suits his style a lot more. And look, I watched him play New South Wales Cup and stuff. He wasn't too far off, but they said his fitness results were the best that ever been at Canterbury, and he couldn't crack first grade. Eventually he might have got there, but I think it just worked out better going back to what he did. And you saw he scores that first try. There was also Reece Martin who left the club. Blake Taff, I think, got injured in the game again.
Yeah, he posted a photo overnight with a badly broken leg or something, and he's going to be out for a while. So that's very disappointing for Taffy.
Yep. So lots of players that are fringe NRL and ex-Bulldogs when we were struggling. None of those players would get a go in our team now and be able to play 27 rounds of NRL type footy. But look, the intensity in those games, they're in your face. The ruck's a bit slower. It's reffed a little bit that way. It has sort of momentum shifts in it. They just get there and they force you into errors the way they play. It's a bit more scrappier. We sort of saw in the Australian-England game a little bit, especially in the second and third tests. Like England really fucking tried their heart out. They just weren't up to it. And we were lucky that we didn't let in too many tries. We were, our performance probably will never be looked at as favourably as it probably should. Because the guys went out there and executed 3 wins and defended really well. So, look, that sort of game suits players like Tom Amone. He's a bit of a workhorse there. He's got some good footwork. He can throw an offload. He scores tries. That's what he does. He scored quite a few in the Super League. And I remember D actually talked a lot about him before he was coming because he watches a lot of Super League. And that's when I started taking a real interest in watching a lot of the games that I could. So, yeah, it was good to see some ex-Bulldogs there, though, and I was backing them. Although it's anti-Australian, I guess, but fuck the Broncos, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Where's Vorney? Didn't he go to St. Helens?
He's
Where'd
over there
Vorney
somewhere.
go?
He's over there somewhere. Not
Is
sure.
he doing
Andy.
well? I like Vorney.
Another short stint at the Dogs, but yeah.
Oh, I was just having a look at the Instagram. It's still going. Sometimes it cuts out after an hour. Sometimes it keeps going. So weird.
So Harry's asking us as well. Thanks for your question, Harry. Where do you think Mitch Barnett will go in 2027? So for those who are not aware, there was a story out today about Mitch. Apparently, he's got a child that sort of requires a lot of medical assistance, etc. So, yes, obviously they can get medical help in New Zealand, but he needs a family support around it. So I'm guessing he's over there just with the wife and family. So they want the extended family around it. So he wants to come back. So there is a few potential options where he might end up. I think my understanding is there's some family is it Newcastle and maybe the Gold Coast? I'm not sure, or some of those areas. So it'll be interesting to see sort of where he pops up. But I also saw a few people mention mention the Bulldogs. Well, hey, we should get this guy. Let's sign him up. He's coming off. And people were talking, he's only 33. He's actually 31, guys, not 33. But yeah, he is a good player. If anyone remembers the game that the Bulldogs played against the Warriors in 2024, where we went to Golden Point, Mitch Barnett was absolutely outstanding in that game. I mean, it was on his back that he got the Warriors in a position to almost win that game until we kicked another Birdo field goal. Another Birdo field goal to win the game. So that was crazy. But yeah, Mitch Barnett obviously played Origin. Awesome player, great player. But we've got our Leo now, and we've got a great lot of depth in that position. It wouldn't be fair for us to keep bringing in players like that, guys. So if anyone's thinking about that from a Dog perspective, we've got, I think, the good pathways now and the experience at the top. I think there will be a lot of other teams that will be absolutely ready to empty their wallets to bring someone like him into their team. Yes, I know that the Ponies are missing Payne next year, but yeah, who knows where he ends up.
Yeah, well, they can upgrade a young Willison, and they can
There you go.
upgrade a Brendan Piakura, and there's this other young fellow I've got to find out his name, but he's ripping and tearing, and someone we're going to have to deal with Brisbane having one of the best junior nurseries. They've always had one of the best or the best. They're just allowed to underperform every year and still get every Friday night.
Timmy's saying that Vaughnie's joined the York Knights. He got it second time round.
There you go, Timmy.
Thanks, Timmy.
So where do I think the Broncos could make a play for Mitch Barnett and have some change left over?
But I think, like you said, it's important. I mean, they have to upgrade a lot of current players in their team that are going to be asking for more money as well. So Payne Haas leaving might be a blessing for them to top up some more contracts and then maybe get, develop some or bring a slightly lesser than big name in there.
Well, I don't think Newcastle are probably the team that needs him the most, and he's from there. It'd probably be exciting for him to go back there and to have, the most expensive spine in the competition underneath him. So I don't know how much money they'd have for him though. And they'd probably have to let someone go. But, the Raiders didn't get Leo Thompson and they've let Trey Mooney go. They kept Big Josh, Big Puppy.
Yep.
You'd think he'd be on the way out. Could make sense at the Raiders if they can get the if that's close enough still to do the stuff with their child.
From what he's saying, it needs to be something reasonably close to have that support. So
Okay.
wherever that family is, and this is only off the first sort of discussion, but I mean, in his words, family. I'm a father and a husband, etc., and a family man first before the team. So I think that will dictate, especially considering he's still signed with the Warriors next year. So they're actually releasing him from his contract. So it's not so much that he's leaving. So any decision he makes will have to be something that is consciously, exclusive to what his situation is. So,
Beautiful. Lots to play out in that. He'll be linked to the Bulldogs, no doubt, but I don't think he'll be coming to us.
Bulldogs Roosters always get linked.
What do we think about Cleary getting off? Look, I think it's the right decision, but as far as a precedent and as far as everything else, it's going to definitely look. Some of the narratives and rationale they used as to why he got off, they're saying like his legs had stopped and turned. He'd lowered himself. The player fell slightly as well, which took away the intention as much. But still, guys, like they're going to use the narrative on someone else that they don't like. If Jack Heverington runs out there and do that, he's getting 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We just know that. If Jared Warrior-Hargraves did that, he's getting 7 weeks. If, I could go on and on and on, right? But it's a halfback who did it. There was a little bit of I think it's the right decision in the end. But that's me. If we're going to be consistent with that and make all those type of things the right decision in the end, that would be nice. That would be lovely. But we know that's not going to happen.
Well, what I found was very interesting was who he took in there with him as his counsel.
His dad.
Yes. So normally they go and hire the one man that the barrister, like the top man that they all take to the judiciary. But his success rate lately hasn't been that good. He hasn't been getting a lot of response. So it was interesting that he actually just went in there with his dad, the coach, and decided to fight fire with fire. But I mean, I agree with Michael. I think, like we spoke about this last night on our podcast, it was probably the right thing in fairness at the end based on, the mitigating circumstances which they've now adopted since midway through last year. However, there's been a lot of cases in the past, and we highlighted some of those where it wasn't the case last year, and players and we all felt it ourselves got suspended, like Curran and others, where we thought it was unfair. So I think if they remain consistent like this with this sort of approach, then yes, I think it's going to be better for the game, because nobody wants to see players rubbed out, especially when you're your own team. But let's see over the next few weeks whether that keeps the same consistency.
Tell you what we didn't do today, mate.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't go through the teams.
I've been waiting for you to do that, mate. Let's go, mate.
Let's do that. We might do this again tomorrow from the start as well. Just have a bit more of a look at it and who we think's going to come in and that sort of stuff, because we've already gone nearly 2 hours, and I reckon we'll wrap this up in the next 5 to 10 guys. So let's get it going.
Human tacos. I like that, Andy.
Yeah. Zion's looking fit, mate, and he's let's hope he can dominate news. This is what we need from our boys in New South Wales Cup. We need players like Zion, and Jack and whatever else. They need to dominate out there.
Mm.
We're not going to talk about them as first graders until they're dominating in that comp. Okay. I know things aren't all equal as well. You've got so many chops and changes, but you want to see those players when they got the ball, they make a huge difference, a huge impact. And when they haven't got the ball, they do the same. And this is what we want to see. And if we're not seeing that, it's hard to make a case, even if your first grade side's losing. All right. So let's go quickly through it. Both sides very stable from last year to this year. And I've been picking this side pretty much all season, all off season, except I would have had Hughes replaced by Leo Thompson. Everything else pretty much the same. Maybe Turpin in, but we're looking at a 17, not a 19. So it's a bit different. So Gutho, Chuapolotto, the money man, Moses Sully, Valentine Holmes, who's had a bit of a disrupted preseason, sort of falls into the same way as Marcello and Jacob. Christian Chuapolotto apparently was a bit behind the 8 ball to start as well, but he's obviously coming along. Setu 2 will get his debut. It's been a Warriors mainstay in their successful cup side and looks like a first grade player and has done a lot of good stuff through the preseason and looked pretty good in the preseason challenge matches. Flanagan at 6, Atkinson at 7. Now, I'll go into a bit of analysis around that in a moment. Emre Gula, first touch as a Dragon. DSF smashed him and he drops the ball. Round 1 last year. Then we dropped the ball about 3 plays later, which was annoying. Damien Cook at hooker. We've got Toby Couchman, Luciano Leilua on the left edge, Jaden Sewer on the right edge, and young Hamish Stewart. If there was any Dragons player, I would say come to the Bulldogs. It's this fella here, but I think that he would vomit red and white. This guy, if I said that. I think Josh Kerr is a massive inclusion for this team. I thought his performance for the Dolphins last year was really good. Hame Saleh, another Panthers junior. Obviously went to Souths. Didn't think he would have left Souths, to be honest. But went to the Dragons. I had that heart issue playing against us. Blake Laurie scored his first ever rugby league tries at Belmore against the Bulldogs. Scored a double that day, I'm pretty sure. Loves to play the Dogs. Does he get on the field? I'm not convinced. I think they've just named their 4 forwards right there. And then they've got King Tongia, who's a very talented player, young half coming through. if he's worked on that defence, you might see him get a go. David Farley, I think, is a chance to be carried in that 19 for outside back cover. Jacob Halangahu is a huge talent, massive raps on him. And obviously Matthew Feagai and Terrell Sloan are there as cover as well. I think they'll take 3 of these guys into their 19. I've got a feeling one will drop out of those forwards, and they'll bring in I think they'll bring in King Tongia.
Played a lot of first grade last year as well.
Yeah, I think he'll be there in that 19 for sure as cover. And Farley will probably get the go-ahead as well, in my opinion. It'll just come down to they may also, yeah. Put it this way, I don't think they're going to play those 4 forwards. They'll play 3 of them, maybe, or even 2, depending on what happens. I think these guys will be struggling to make the squad, but these ones will be the 19. But I don't expect they'll play. I think Blake Lawrie might be the one that misses out here. Just my early thoughts. Well, he did all right in their preseason games, but he's sort of fallen out of favour a bit, it seems. Or he's had to work hard to get back in favour, which is resurrection's always a good thing. Obviously, our boys there. Let's talk about the Dragons' weaknesses, though. Daniel Atkinson, if we look at this kid, you'll see he's only had 35 matches for the Sharks, 1 for the Storm, or 36 matches for the Stars. He's played 37 games. Majority of those times he's been picked have been as, I think, 18th man. 18th man doesn't count as a game. But a lot of 18th man, a lot of bench spots. Rarely had to play back-to-back games at half. Obviously, he's got a lot of talent. But being a seasoned NRL player in the halves is something he's not yet. And he's definitely someone that'll be a target for us big time. And look, I don't think he got the opportunities at the Sharks last year that he would have got if he wasn't leaving, put it that way. So, yeah, mate, I think he's definitely someone that Viliami Kikau will be targeting a hell of a lot. We'll see Gutherson again. Gutherson's been sort of their main playmaker, their main creator. Now, whether they try and alleviate him from that to play more of a different style, I think it would be an advantage to them if Gutherson actually just does more of a role, just the out-and-out fullback role, gets in there, does some yardage stuff, takes a good carry when they need to, ensure he's always there in defence, which he wasn't there always last year. It's probably his most inconsistent season. And he's one of the most consistent players in the NRL. So to call that out, it's actually it just wasn't as consistent. Obviously, in a new team, he's had an extra preseason there. He's a player that's going to do a lot better. And I think if Atkinson is ready to go and they play more to the strengths of Flanagan and Atkinson and get Cook out of dummy half and that sort of thing, we might see Gutho maybe take a step back, which could actually work out to the benefit of the team. To me, that's what Tedesco did at the Roosters. He gave more responsibility to the players around him, and as they got more confident in their defensive structures and stuff with a lot of new players and that. He was so much more dominant in the things that he did in his role, but he wasn't trying to be the one hogging the ball every play and sort of cramping up edges and trying too hard, which he can do. So I think he stripped it back a little bit and it benefited the whole squad, which is why they were able to make the 8 in the end. And I think that's maybe something Gutherson might do with the Dragons. Keep an eye on that. Moses Sully, really good with the ball, but defensively can be hit and miss. And Flanagan, we've got to make sure that if he does choose to run, that we make sure we stop him. You know, he's the player that no one respects with the ball. And he pulled some – he actually had some moments last year, Kyle. If you go and watch the games, it was probably his best season with all the pressure he was under, with the nepotism shit. His kicking game, I felt, was typically predictable, but there was a couple of games towards the end of the year he actually nailed it. Got more depth on his kicks. There's a couple of things that I was impressed with. Damien Cook, I think, starting as a hooker is now a liability for that club. And obviously, Jacob Little is out injured, which is a big loss for them. So, yeah, he's injured or hasn't been picked, which is interesting. So, yeah, who's the backup 9 for Damien Cook? He's an 80-minute man now. Like, obviously fast, fit, does a lot of work, was an origin type of hooker, was an origin hooker. But he's got to turn back the clock, surely. So that's where I think they're weak. They've got to outwork us and take more risks than us to beat us. It's going to be amazing to watch. That's my thoughts on it. You got anything there, Gas? What's happening with you, mate?
Well, mate, Daniel Atkinson's when you spoke about him at depth. I mean, his time at the Sharks, he won 60% of the games he played. So he's a winner. Like, he plays, when he's playing, he does well. So he's going to be the sort of key input into that team. I think he will be someone that's going to bring more than what Flanagan's going to do. That they're going to be relying on him to have more of that creative flair. And I think he's someone that we're going to have to watch very closely, because he's got that, for the Dragons, he's got a little bit of their X factor in the halves compared to what they've had before. They've obviously invested heavily in him. There was a lot of options out there last year towards the end about, well, when I say a lot, there was a few key players that were floated around. I mean, Fogarty ended up going to Manly, but he was someone that potentially could have or should have been snapped up by the Dragons, I believe. That would have been a lot stronger acquisition for them. But Daniel's the guy they got, so they have to put all their efforts into this Italian representative, Italian international. So he's going to be dangerous for them. But overall, I think with their team, it worries me more about their performance against the Rabbitohs, that they didn't play so well if they had played so well. And I think we spoke about that in the review last week. It's dangerous signs. It's almost like they played, like you said, well within themselves. Didn't do too much. They sort of, had one eye, kind of like what Hull did. I mean, if you notice what they did against the Broncos, they had that unexpected loss the week before, and then they came out the following week and they played a lot better. I'm expecting a big shift and a big turnaround. The Dragons are not to be underestimated, and the team that they've named has a lot of attacking weapons across that field. There's a lot of points in that team. It's going to be vital that we, on our best behaviour with regards to our defence. We don't want to get off to a slow start and be caught, in the headlights with these guys. We need to be basically fighting fire with fire from the start, literally against that fire-breathing dragon, so they say. We need to be flaming it the other way from the Bulldog. So it's going to be an exciting game. It's actually a very well matched up team overall. I just think we all know our players so well. We all know our team so well. So yes, on paper even we look like we've got that experience factor, that that cohesion a bit more. We're a bit more settled, but NRL is a funny game, and on their day, anyone can beat anyone. We just have to make sure that we don't go all the way over there, and we reward all our fans who have travelled, which is majority of the travelling party are Bulldog supporters. We reward them with a big victory. So that's the goal for us.
Yeah, nice stuff, mate. Look, we've got Lockie Galvin. He's played, 45 matches, 5 games, and he'll be at 50. He's played more matches. He's 20 years old. Atkinson's 25. This kid's only played 3 seasons, but he's been trusted from the youngest of ages to come in and play a lot of games of rugby league to, you can see his forced dropouts. You can see his try assists. It was 16 in his first year where he was getting all the ball. 13 last year between 2 different clubs, 20 offloads. So that's the thing with Galvin as well. The offload ability probably comes more into the 5'8" role, but the fact that he can, if he wants to keep a play going, if he's not happy where we are in the field when he gets caught, he's able to keep the play going, and that'll be his decision as a half. He's got no fear. He runs the ball. I think he's a player that it's like there's been so much focus on Galvin, even in talking about him, training and how fast he's played and how fast he got under Roger Fabry and all the focus from the questions from the media and our club talking him up, and even Gus on the podcast, he's a great young kid. I'm allowed to say that, even though he's in our team now. I think it's almost like he's hiding in plain sight. He's talked about, but I don't think. I think he's still I think he's underestimated, and that's hard to believe. Like people, the fan base, the talk isn't about how Lachlan Galvin's going to could destroy the Dragons. There's none of that. All they're really talking about is that Bailey Hayward's not reading money and he's not going to be yet. But our club, like Bailey, Gus just said, Bailey Hayward, best, the most improved player in the preseason. Galvin with all the stuff he's done. Manny Burton supposedly going to go somewhere else. Tracy's unsigned, could command between 500 and 700,000 a season. They're not really talking about. They talk about the Bulldogs and they talk about Serrato, and even I said it. What's the biggest danger to the Dragons? The Bulldog system scares them, scares all these teams. They feel like they've got to perform some miracles to win. Some of the sides, not all of them, but some of them. But we have X factor in our team. We just don't ever get credited with it. Critter sorry, but let's just go play the Canberra highlight again. That's X factor. The ball from Galvin to win the game to Rinikana, staying so solid on his wing. Good wingers. Why is AJ got the going to break the record? Why? Because he hugs that fucking try line. Why is Josh Adokar so good?
Sideline.
He hugs that sideline. They're where they're supposed to be when the play's on. Gus made a point of it the other day. Tay Cochran goes to throw that ball.
Jonathan Sewer.
Sewer was a little bit behind the 8 ball. Now, that's not saying that Sewer won't get to improve in that area and be much better. I'm sure he would have. They would have went over that. What we saw, the coaches would have seen. He would have seen it himself, and he'd be like, "I should have caught that. I should have been there. I've got to be better." That was just one little part of the game. He had a great game. right? But this is what I mean. Great players need the other players playing their roles and playing them properly and doing them at a very high level. And for Canterbury, we've had so many contributors. I don't know how many times I got to an end of a game and it's like, well, who's the man of the match for Canterbury? It's real. If you look at the game, it's hard to pick. There's only a few games where we went, oh, okay, there's no arguments. It was this player. But for the majority, it's like, it's an absolute lottery on who the best player is sometimes, because they can all pop up at different times and have great moments that contribute to us going to where we're going to go. So players like Lachlan Galvin have X factor. Matt Burton has X factor. You see it. Viliami Kikau has X factor. All right. These players, Jacob Carraz has X factor. Jacob Carraz doesn't throw those offloads so many times in our games. We don't win a lot of those games. It's how important he is.
It's the manner that he throws them as well. How efficient is he? The way he gets them out, they're not like ones that are challenging to take. He pops them back out with that underarm way, and they basically come out, and then they're promoted straight away, and off they go. It's the manner that he does it as well. There's people that can offload and push the ball out, but then there's an offload that comes out that way that is promoted straight away because it's expected, and it comes out. You know, that's the confidence that he's got. The teams know it's coming and they can't stop it. So it's a great way. But I think we should finish up going through some of these chats, right, Michael, and wrap it up because we've got a few more days this week. So let's keep a few things in the kitty, I reckon.
Let's do it. All right. So we'll finish up with the chats, guys, and then we'll say good night. Big thank you to everyone. No super chats tonight. We'll get back onto those tomorrow, guys. Open your hearts, open your wallets. But it's all right. Or you can donate to me when I do my walk, which starts on Sunday.
That's it.
All right. Hold them and fold them. That's all it's all about. So we've got Smokey Mitch Bunt. No, I'm here. No way. He's not coming to us. Don't need him. Wouldn't say no at the right price, but it's not happening. When Leo's back, do we all think it's just Josh missing out? If no other injuries, I think him or maybe even... Oh, Hughes probably drops out or drops down into the bench. I think Curran's versatility makes him someone that you'd want to pick on that bench as often as you can, and probably one of the ones that you got to worry about getting time into them. So there we go. When does Gavin get an updated profile? Well, he's got one, but I just saw when it was the team side by side, it wasn't there. But when I clicked on it, it had his new one.
It had the new one, yeah.
That's why I actually clicked on it, by the way, because I was like, hey, I'm sure that he's got a photo in the new jersey and a new haircut.
Fresh one, yes.
Score predictions, we'll get to that tomorrow, Timmy. Ask us again tomorrow. Timmy, you want to do it? It's like, Timmy be like, let's get married. And then he wants to stay up all night and talk about the rest of our lives all today.
The 4
He's
kids and the 2
so
dogs.
hungry for information and knowledge.
I
and
love
you know
it.
what I love about
it.
Timmy? He'll ask us and then he'll go on to the other podcasts and ask them as well.
That's why we love Timmy, mate. That's
why we love Timmy. And
that's it.
He asks all the questions, and 99% they're the right questions.
That's right.
You know, perfect supporter of the Bulldogs.
Absolutely.
And hungry for knowledge and getting everyone's point of view and ideas. So he can sort of come up and go, you know what? I reckon this feels good, this answer, you know. I'm going to go with that one. I love you, Timmy. What's the feeling with Spinks not having a Bulldogs profile? Well, Zhreg, Ryan, I had to talk about Logan Spinks on the Mad V podcast today, and that was the thing. No profile. And that did give me a pain in the gut. So I need to find out if there's anything about that. To me, it's just...
hopefully an anomaly.
Yeah. Need to find out what's going on there. Not a fan of Justin Horror takes. Didn't even acknowledge for Crows to be in the Blue squad. That's all right, Amir. Scope, he said he give us a shout out to All Things Bulldogs. Willie Mason's his best mate. He's all right. Don't worry about that.
He's not a selector or the coach, so don't worry about him.
He's all right. Don't worry about him. He doesn't have to know us as good as we know us. You know what I mean? That's it, brother Timmy. G'day, Rusty. Welcome to you.
G'day, Rusty.
We're going now, Rusty. So go and watch the podcast from the start, and you'll love it, I'm sure. Night to you, Timmy. And tomorrow we'll talk about the predictions and stuff. G'day, Pro 5Tay. We're leaving now. Have a good night and watch the podcast. We're doing another one tomorrow. Thanks, problem, guys. Mate. We are leaving now, but you can go watch it from the start. And any questions you've got from tonight, you can ask them tomorrow. See you, champion. Thank you again, Gas. You've been amazing. See you, Rusty. See you, everyone. And once again, big thanks to everyone who's joined the channel. Become a member. We're on Spotify as well. Go follow there if you prefer to listen rather than look at my beautiful face. Go follow us at the Dog Farter. Go buy Footy Head t-shirts. Do it all. And get your Bulldogs merch at thebulldogs.com.au. Love yous all. Love yous all. Jeff Fennick style. And I'll see you tomorrow. Go the Dogs.
Go the
Yo, what up, guys? Want to give a massive shout out to All Things Bulldogs. If you guys haven't watched their podcast, check them out. Let's go.
Hey guys, Tuesday nights, All Things Bulldogs podcast. Make sure you get onto it. Go the Doggies.
Shout out All Things Bulldogs. Every Tuesday night, mate. Every Tuesday night.
All Things Bulldogs, mate.
All Things Bulldogs, YouTube, Tuesday night.
Tuesday
night.
night. That's it. Every week, mate.
All Things Bulldogs.